Shwmai a croeso cynnes, and welcome to the What's Your Story podcast. I'm James Owen, a Welsh filmmaker and storyteller, and I'm passionate about sharing stories. This podcast is all about business owners sharing their journey, and we'll be speaking with directors, entrepreneurs and creatives from all across Wales to learn from their experiences. We believe everyone has a story to tell. What's your story? Shwmai, croeso cynnes, and welcome to the next episode of What's Your Story. And we love hearing stories from all across Wales, and I've got a really exciting one for you today. A very proud Welshman with his very own Welsh designer menswear brand, the founder of Cambrensis. Today in the studio, we have Ioan. Diolch, Ioan. Thank you for coming on and sharing a bit about your story.
Diolch yn fawr. Thank you for having me, James. It's lovely to be here.
Good, thank you. Yeah, it's great to have you. Are we going to do this in Welsh or English? What do you think?
Let's do English.
We'll do English.
We can throw in some Welsh, though, no problem.
Throw in some Welsh. No, our audience like Welsh, you know. I do want to get some more Welsh episodes. The audience are asking for it. But I'd love to. But yeah, for today, we'll do it in Saesneg, in English. But Ioan, for those who are listening and watching the podcast, can you just give us a flavour of Cambrensis in a few short sentences? What is Cambrensis?
So Cambrensis means of Wales in Latin. We're a Welsh heritage menswear brand based in Cardiff. We're proudly Welsh. That's our USP, for sure. And our sole aim is to be the biggest fashion house in Wales, because there's not one. And we have the best potential to do that. We are the people who have hosted Wales' biggest ever runway show, which we're massively proud of. And we've set the standard with that now. And that was a year ago this week. So unfortunately, we can't dip below that standard. So yeah, that's us really. We're proudly Welsh. Our logo is the Welsh miner's lamp. That represents our industrial heritage. So yeah, that's us.
Fantastic. It's great to hear the potential of the brand and what you've done very early on. And even though it's fair to say, probably in the last year, you've been treating this as a serious business, but Cambrensis as a brand you created many years ago as a young lad, and you had a very early experience in school where you found a love of fashion. In fact, it goes beyond that with your family. You know, you've got a family who've inspired you in art. So talk me through a bit about your childhood growing up and where you first fell in love with fashion in Wales.
Absolutely. So I've been into menswear from a very, very young age through following my football team, Cardiff City. Seeing the older lads in home and away games wearing these garments that I'd never seen before. From Italian designers such as Massimo Wasti, the founder of Stone Island, CP Company, the brands that are massive in the UK now. But for me, it was a thing of, I think I was looking for a bit of identity when I was very young, through the way that I dressed, music, for example. And as soon as I saw these garments through the football, I knew that's for me, because I recognise instantly that it's timeless, and that's the key word there. So I think that's where my love of menswear started, for sure. But in terms of creativity and Welsh heritage, it's been ingrained in me from day one. My family's all from the Welsh Valleys, so the stories of Welsh heritage, industrial heritage, Welsh language have just been ingrained in me from day one, and I'm very, very proud of it.
Stone Island, that's I'm a rugby fan, so
yeah.
I'm not huge in the football space, but being Welsh, you get to see what goes on in sport in Wales. Stone Island, that's quite a well-known brand within the football world, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that for me, I had this conversation with people all the time. There's a thing called casual culture within football, which for me is very, very tacky, touching on hooliganism and brands like Stone Island. That's not what it is for me. I think I see past that. I see how beautiful these garments are and the colours, the fabric. And it just so happens that the brands like Stone Island CP Company were innovators at the time when they first burst into the scene of football in the UK. They were the people who stood out doing those things in terms of the fabrics and colours. And that's where I fell in love with it, really. But I try and stay away from all that tackiness, where I'm all about being premium. And I think that's what's reflected in Cambrensis, for sure.
Yeah, because I think for me, that's probably one reason I personally don't love football as much as I do rugby is the hooliganism.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, if you're maybe chasing a brand and maybe building on your football heritage, it could maybe the danger could be this brand might be linked with those sorts of people, which as a founder you don't want, do you? Because you wanted to reflect positivity within heritage. Maybe there's a nod to what happened before, but it's moving forward an opportunity that lots of parts in Wales, we no longer live we're living in a post-industrial community. The likes of more recently Port Talbot, they've lost thousands of jobs to the steelworks because of how sustainability is changing how we produce steel in this country. So that slowly, large towns in Wales have lost that industrial heritage because it's no longer an industrial town. We're living in post-industrial communities, and in the next 10 years that's going to change even greater with tech and AI. But yeah, it's interesting how you've seen and built this brand on that heritage, because it's really important to link your family history and the heritage of different communities, because that's relatable. For me as a Welsh person, I'm like, do you know what? That sounds, I'm not very fashionable, Ioan. I don't know if you could tell from meeting me today, but yeah, to get the nod to different communities, and it's great. And Cambrensis as a word, because I've heard it. I don't know how it is in brand. Maybe you can have a discussion on brand. Are there other Cambrensises out there? Because that's it's a word I've heard many a time.
Yeah. So the word Cambrensis, as I said, means of Wales in Latin. So it's a nice Welsh connection there, because I knew when I started the brand, I wanted it to be Welsh, but without being tacky and, maybe touching on a lot of the sort of Irth branding, for example. I wanted to have my own identity, which was subtle, and it made people, dive into the meaning. They have to do a bit of research to see what Cambrensis is. And I think we've hit the nail on the head perfectly with that, because I think when you look at our name and logo, first of all, you wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, that's Welsh. But once you do your research, I think people are like, that's cool. But in terms of the name itself, there is other Cambrensises around. I think there's Cambrensis Civil Engineering.
I know of an engineering company.
You're welcome for the free shout out.
Free advertising.
Yeah, absolutely. But the name actually comes from a surname of a man called Gerald Cambrensis. And he was the first person, I believe, to travel across Wales and document his journey.
Really?
Which is a really nice link there. And it was discovered by my mum. So she takes the credit for that, and I take the credit for creating the logo.
So she came up with the idea of the name Cambrensis. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, good. And it's nice because, for me, as a business owner, Welsh is very important to my own identity, but the identity of the brand that I built in Stori Cymru. And I wanted that to reflect of something very Welsh in both the language and Welsh culture as well. And for me, it's very, I went through a bit of a rebranding exercise. So when I was a student, I wasn't called Stori Cymru back then. And I was growing into a bit of a different company. We were doing more and more larger contracts, and I thought we need a brand that's going to reflect the sort of work that we do. So in fact, my wife came up with the idea Stori. I thought, Stori, yeah, in Gymraeg. And what I like about Stori is if you say it in Welsh, it sounds the same in English.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's not a word that is difficult to say. The Cymru part, if you're not Welsh speaker, sometimes Cymru, some people struggle to say the word, but Stori in Gymraeg, Stori in Welsh is the same. It's just spelled differently.
Absolutely.
So what I like is Cambrensis. It might not be a Welsh word, but it's enough of it's not a mouthful that it's difficult to say.
100%. And I think that was the idea. And I was searching for a Welsh word to name the brand after, but Welsh is a hard language. I'm a proud Welsh speaker, and even I was like, yeah, there's no chance we're calling it after a Welsh word. You know what I'm saying? Because English people won't be able to say it. Simple
Were there
as
any
that.
close seconds? Like, did you have a Welsh word that you were like leaning in on?
Nah, nothing at all. Like, I had loads of ideas, but I was just like, yeah, this is not it. But then when my mum came to me and was like, what about Cambrensis? I was like, right, looks nice on paper. Let's do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Looks posh. Let's do it. Touching back on the authenticity that you talked about just now, I think that's why we do really well. I think that our story is real of Welsh heritage, and that I try and tie in as much stories of my family as I can. within the brand which touch on Welsh heritage. And I think that's why we do well. And I think that's why people can see, they see the authenticity and it's real and it's that subconscious emotional connection, that works. And that's what it's about. And I needed something, when I was coming up with the branding, I needed something that would make me passionate. For example, with the name Cambrensis, which means of Wales, obviously I'm Welsh, that was an obvious connection. And our logo, the Welsh miners lamp then, it represents our industrial heritage, our history, I think in a really nice way without being political, because I'm not political at all, even though it has that sort of connotation. It's more
Cymru.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's not talk about it. And
elections coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so when I was coming up with the logo of the Welsh miners lamp, it was about finding something that honoured our heritage and history rather than making a statement. Do you know what I'm saying? And the sole reason was to keep me passionate. As long as I was happy with it and passionate with it, I knew that we could kick on and do some unbelievable stuff, which we've achieved so far.
Brilliant. And let's talk about football, because that's a big passion of yours, and that's influenced the brand itself. Because when you were in school, you were fed up of the sports kits you were playing in, and you actually designed your own sports kit for the school.
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of school, for starters, I'm a massive Cardiff City fan, as I've already said. We've
had some Swansea people on your mind.
Yeah, such a shame. But yeah, so I'm a very proud Cardiff City fan, and we're doing very well at the moment. Just wanted to put it out
at the
there.
moment.
Yeah, I think we're going to win the league, which is really nice. So a good time for us. But at the time when I was in school, we weren't as good as we are now, even though we're in a league below. But we won't talk about that. And yeah, I took it upon myself to design a sports kit, a full PE kit for my school, because I went to a very strange school for a little while, and the PE kit they had at the time was something out of like the 60s, 70s, probably even before that, like a really thick cotton rugby shirt.
I remember.
You know the photos you see of the Welsh Rugby Union when they first formed? It was like that. You know what I'm saying?
I played in something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure we all have at some point. But I was sick of it. I was like, there's no way I'm playing a 90-minute match of football wearing this. So I just decided when I was like 14, 15 to take it upon myself to make a new kit, because no one else was doing it. I thought, just do it. I had that creative background because in school I was always the person who was the arty kid. I was always the one who's seen, Ioan's really good at drawing. Do you know what I'm saying? So just give it a go. I was asking teachers, all right, can you send me this logo, and doing a bit of research on materials, prices, and before I knew it, we had a full range that I just done off my own back. And it was beautiful. I'd even wear it now. It was stunning. And I presented it to the school, and they were impressed for the obvious reasons of someone 14, 15 off their own back has just done this. And within 6 months, we had a new head teacher, and he sent me to Nottingham because he had a contact in a company called Player Layer, who at the time were the UK supplier for Under Armour. So that's where I learned how to make clothes properly, really. And that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So I was very, very fortunate with that experience, but it was through my own practicality and just giving it a go.
Yeah, that's great to hear that, your head teacher gave you that opportunity to, seen an idea. You could have very easily had gone, no, this is the school policy. This is the jumper we need to wear.
Yeah.
I've maybe been in that experience through school where uniform is, or teachers have strict policies on, uniform's got to look like this and you got to look like that, and it's got to be, no, you can't get a cheap one from this shop. It's got to be, these are the suppliers and it's more expensive. But yeah, for him to give you that opportunity, he seen the creativity in you, didn't he? And he said, give it a go.
Yeah, it was one of those things where the door was open, and it wasn't a case of he was giving everyone this opportunity. I think he, as you said there, he saw what I was able to do in the passion, which is very much alive today and even more for, garment design. So he sent me up to Nottingham for the week, and they were all, not to, brag, but they were all a bit shocked by how far I came in a few days with them at that age. I learned all of Illustrator within 2 days. Never touched it before. And by the end of the week, I designed the full school range, boys, girls, infants, different colours, everything. And within 6 months, it was on sale, and it's still on sale today. That was nearly 10 years ago. So it's a pretty mad story, but it's without that experience, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. So I'm very grateful for that. But it is through my own initiative.
Wow. Did you get any royalties for that kit?
I think I bought it and they gave me like 10% off.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
10%.
I know. Shocking.
Okay, so from a very young age, fashion, designing your own clothing is obviously quite evident early on in your life that is something that you wanted to try and go and pursue. You went to university, you studied fashion in London. So tell me a bit about the establishing of the brand as a real business, because you started off while you were studying, but only more recently it's taken into, it's a different machine, should we say now?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I finished sixth form, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. It was a very weird time because it was COVID as well. We were all in the house, and I took it upon myself, after it'd probably been 4 years at this point since I'd had that experience in Nottingham where I designed this full range. And one day I woke up, I was just like, right, I'm going to design some stuff today. I'm going to make it, and let's see where we go. And yet it's just been a process of pure trial and error. I've had zero help in any way, whether that's design, mentoring, financials. It was just been a case of trial and error, and having that drive to kick on and willing to learn and to lose. That's the thing. There's been so many losses which have got us to where we're winning today, which is really nice. So yeah, I properly started when I was in COVID before I started university, and I was messing around with branding, and it took me definitely, it took me 6 months working every single day just to come up with the logo. Working every single day, even if it was just for a couple of minutes, just drawing some different stuff. And at the time I was working in a Greek restaurant in Barry, and I was living in Cardiff. So what I would do is I would get the bus from where I was living in Cardiff to the city centre, go to Cardiff Library for an hour, look around for inspiration. And it was one day after looking for 6 months that I came across a book on Big Pit. And it was just like, it's always been there. It's been so obvious, throughout my life with my family being from the valleys. All I've heard is stories of Welsh heritage, Welsh mining. We've always had miners' lamps around the house. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? But I was very grateful when it came to me. I went to work that day buzzing then thinking, got it. And that's it. That was it. But it's just through persistence. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the story really. And then it was about probably 2 years then of sampling products. Because again, I had no support at all. I was figuring everything out, and no one told me like the sort of buttons you have to use, the sort of zips you have to use. I had no idea. So it's just been a case of, ordering jackets and then the zips falling off for you to then learn, oh, actually you need to use this so that they don't fall off. Do you know what I mean? And then, yeah, I went to the university in Westminster in London. And the reason I went there was there's a well-known man in menswear called Professor Andrew Groves. He used to be the head of design at Alexander McQueen. So I went to the university because of him, because he's got big links to the brands that we talked about earlier, Stone Island CP Company, who are the brands that I really look up to and always will, I think, because of that timeless element that I think that Cambrensis definitely possesses. And if I'm honest, it wasn't a good experience there, which is all good because I think that's what a lot of universities are like. But yeah, I launched the brand there, and it was a case of me, right, I've got the branding, I've got the product, how do we market now? You know what I'm saying? So then the last part has been the marketing aspect, where I like to think now we're at a position where we've got it all. It was a case of proving ourselves now and kicking on.
So we'll talk a bit about the growth and the direction you're going in. I'd love to hear you touched earlier on losses and business. There are highs and there are lows.
Yeah.
What early on have you learned? What's been maybe your biggest loss or the biggest lesson you've learned so far?
Wow, there's loads. There's absolutely loads. As I said, we've had no financial support. This whole brand has been funded through me working in a Greek restaurant, which I'm
working hard.
Yeah, which I'm really proud of. You know what I mean? I didn't want to, and I'm still to this day, I don't want to take money off anyone. I want to, do it all myself, and we have. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I've built this, and we've built this. My team, I say now, from nothing. When we're at a position now where we're started. This is a really exciting period for us. I'm sure we'll talk about it later on, but in terms of the losses, a lot of financial stuff for sure. But again, it was kind of a thing of I was happy to make those financial losses. And I know this sounds weird because I saw it as it's my money, but also I'm paying to learn, which I think is the only way because no one else could have taught me this. You know what I'm saying? And now we're at a position where we make very little mistakes in terms of, garment production, for example, and we don't spend silly money where it's not needed, for example. But I think, I'm absolutely in love with Cambrensis. It's like a marriage. Do you know what I mean? But as I say that, it is like a marriage, but it is a personal brand as well. It's like I'm married to myself, which keeps me, ticking on every single day. And I wake up every morning excited just to build it even more. And yeah, as I said, it's a really exciting period for us now. But I think it's just, it's taught. And I say to a lot of people all the time when they do ask me, I love what I'm doing so much now because I'm learning so much every single day and I'm meeting so many different people. If I wasn't doing it, if I had a normal 9-to-5 job, I would be meeting very little new people and my life would be boring. My life is very exciting at the moment and long may it continue.
So you love the brand, and it's great to hear the passion, the enthusiasm. And I think if you want to make this a real success, you look to build a team, and you've already started building that, and you've got some good people in your team. How do you take your hands off the brand? Because I'm sure you're going to have to learn to let go. Because if you want to make it successful, it can't if you hold on to it too tightly, it's got no room to grow. So what are maybe some of those challenges you may be anticipating coming ahead?
It's really tough because the overall responsibility is all on me to keep this alive, obviously. But that's also something that I really enjoy because I'm willing to learn how to make those sacrifices and how to, make it work. But I think at the moment it's tough because it's all I think about. It's what I spend probably 90% of my time doing, apart from going to the football, going to gigs, do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's tough, but I'm happy to do it because, as I said, I'm in love with it, and it's my passion, and I can see our potential, and I think I'm not going to rest until we reach that potential.
Good. Well, I'm excited to see some of the garments. I thought you might have brought some samples in today, for me to... maybe you don't do my size. Maybe I need to try to fit into a 2XL. Because that's what does frustrate me as a big bloke, You can never find sizes of good-looking clothes, which is why I often... Probably why I'm not very fashionable, because I can't shop in the premium places. Anyway, I've got a bit of a tangent here, Yos. But you reach out to me because you've got an event coming up in London. And yeah, it's an exciting time for you in the business, growing the brand, and for more and more people to hear about it, all the better. And that's going to help with your success. So tell me, for the next 6 months, what have you got planned for the brand?
Absolutely. Our whole plan this year, 6 months and beyond, is just growth. As I said, our goal is to become the number one fashion house in Wales, and we have that potential, and we need to fulfill it, and we will. But the next thing that's coming up is probably going to be one of our biggest events this year, to be honest with you, is we're hosting our first ever event at London Fashion Week, which is really exciting, in partnership with Wales Week London, which is great. So we have recently done a collaborative collection with a man called Anthony Rivers from Mountain Ash. And he's a menswear author. He's the author of Magnetic Book, which is a book on Massimo Mosti, so the designer who created Stone Island CP Company. So the book Magnetic is about his early years in the UK and how it's influenced British culture through music and football. And it's only been on sale 2-3 years, and it's just, it's skyrocketed. So, it's interesting. When Tony launched the book, I started Cambrensis, and it's almost like we've been on this journey together so far, and now we've come together to work together. So we've created a collection called Genoa, which is honouring Italian heritage in Wales, specifically the cafe culture in the Welsh valleys. So we've created a fashion film in Viasani's Cafe in Merthyr, which is one of the only remaining original Italian cafes. And we're going to be showing the film for the first time at London Fashion Week, which is really exciting. Now, the event is invite only, only going to be attended by, industry people, media, Welsh cultural figures, for example, which is the first time we've done something like that. But I think it's going to work well. We're going to have some really good people in the room who we can really show off to. That's what it's about, really. But yeah, it's a really exciting time for us, and I think that we're hoping and we're envisioning now from London onwards, we should see some really good momentum.
Exciting times for the brand. I'm excited, and hopefully I can be a part of it. I'm
Absolutely.
yet to check my calendar, but you asked me earlier about coming along, and it's great. And I've been to a few events in London with Wales Week London.
Nice.
And you said offline, it should be bigger than it is, and it absolutely should. It's great to because I think Wales punches above his weight, doesn't it, on the world stage?
Big time.
We do, don't we? Sport. Maybe not so much in rugby now, but football, football. Gareth Bale,
yes.
What he's more recently in modern times become one of the greatest ever footballers, and he's Welsh.
100%.
We're proud of that, aren't we?
Big time. At one point he was, for me, the best footballer in the world for a very short period, but he was. And I don't think we'll ever see anyone like him again in Wales, which is a shame. But I'm very, very privileged to have seen him play on many occasions. But yeah, I think what's interesting about Wales is there's connections everywhere across the world with Wales. Wherever you go, you'll find someone who knows someone who's from, the valleys or something.
Yes, that's so true.
Which is a beautiful thing, really. And I think, again, with Cambrensis, what we're trying to do is we're trying to celebrate our culture and heritage because, every other country does. So we need to do it as well. In terms of Welsh language as well, we've had a bit of a decline now in the last couple of decades, but I think it's back on the up. Really special, and anything we can do to support that is an obvious thing for me.
Ymlaen Cymru.
Yeah.
Have you met Gareth Bale?
I have. I've met him once or twice. Just he's exactly the same as you see on TV. Just keeps himself to himself. Very professional.
Do you know what you need?
Oh, I know what we need.
You need him in a Cambrensis t-shirt.
I think he is our ultimate cultural figure. Like we've got lists in the office of people we're targeting, and he is number one.
Yeah.
So, because I think even if we get him wearing a jacket in like 30 years' time, like even I will be like, yeah, that's proper cool.
That is good. Who else is on this list? You allowed to share?
Ooh,
any rugby players, or is it all football?
Yeah, there's a few rugby players for sure. But I think in terms of football, Craig Bellamy, obviously, Welsh national manager. He grew up in Rumney, not far from where I grew up as well, in Cardiff. So that's a nice little link there. But I think we're blessed in Wales with a lot of classy cultural figures. That's what we're trying to target. We're trying to be the number one in Wales. And the part of the way we're going to do that is getting garments to these people.
That is bold. You've said that a few times about being the number one fashion house. What was it you said?
We'll say fashion house. It sounds good, doesn't it? So we'll say fashion house.
Yeah, fashion house. Who do you believe is currently number one?
There's no one number one. We're not number one either, but we will be number one. I think the thing is, Wales hasn't got anyone, as I said, but England has Burberry, you know what I mean? France has Moncler. Canada has Canada Goose. So that's the argument I always say to people. Wales needs that brand, I think, to represent it on a global stage and to put a bit of pride back into the country in terms of manufacturing. But yeah, that's my goal, really. Got to be ambitious, because what's the point otherwise?
Yeah, and you're very ambitious. I got to say, it's very evident, Ioan. I'd love to hear. We've got to hear a little bit about your journey and your sort of rise in building this brand from a young age, designing your own sport kit. That's a great story in itself. I love that. But yeah, I'd love to hear who are the people that maybe inspire you and influence your world? And we ask this to all our guests on the podcasts because I just love hearing personal stories. And I'd love to hear you. And if you could sit on this very table and in front of you, you could have somebody that's inspired you in your design journey. Whose story would you love to hear?
I think first and foremost, it would 100% be my late great uncle, Dewi Bowen, who was a well-known artist from Merthyr. Passed away just after COVID in his late 90s. So he lived a great life, and he dedicated his whole life to art. He never married so that he could carry on painting. And I will never reach his level of talent in terms of creativity. His artwork and his style is unmatched. And anyone who sees his artwork for the first time also the same thing as in, this is unbelievable, and it's so real and authentic, because all of his work was on Welsh heritage. Now we use a lot of his artwork within the brand now. For example, the t-shirt I'm wearing here, which is the Genoa postage stamp, we've used a rescue miner from his archive in the postage stamp. and it just works really well. Like, you could never pay a designer to do this. I could never draw this. I'm a good artist, but I couldn't draw that. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think he'd be the person that I'd love to just sit down with now and just pop a chat, because I think I took him for granted when I was younger, because I was younger, and because I obviously knew him from day one. It was almost like, yeah, he's a close part of our family. He's an artist. His work's unbelievable. But it was only until, potentially I started the brand and I now relate to what he went through in terms of creating stuff, that I'm like, well, I'd love to sit down with him now and really hear his process and, his inspirations, really. Yeah, I think he'd be the person that I'd love to sit down with and chat and really go through creativity with, really.
That's great, even though you can't physically do that now, obviously, but the fact that you still have his artwork, that's amazing, because to say that was designed and inspired through his own art is crazy, because yet he's gotten his art will live on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And through the products that you create, that's really, that's a 100%. Nice thing to, to recognise him and his work.
Absolutely. I'm very proud of it. I'm very lucky as well. At home, as I said, I've got his archive. It is massive, as you can imagine. He dedicated 80 years of his life to art. So you can imagine the artwork he did in that time. And it's all just, the quality of work is unreal. And as I said, it's all of Welsh heritage. So I've got a lifetime worth of artwork that I'm intending to use within the brand. And yeah, you've probably only seen 2% of it so far, to be honest. So that's really exciting for us. But I'm very glad that I can honour him in that way, and we're a bit of exclusive news for you as well. We're just announced to do a mural in the new indoor market in Merthyr, honouring Dewi. So we're going to be using the postage stamp as a big painting in the new indoor market, alongside another piece of artwork that we've used within the brand called the Little Collier. They've all got ties to Merthyr in terms of the story of the artwork, but also Dewi was a proud Merthyr resident, and he used to be head of art at Cardiff High School as well. So yeah, that's really exciting, and we're looking forward to painting that and doing a nice event to celebrate it.
Wow, that's amazing, and thanks for sharing that exclusive to us. But yeah, incredible that you're able to recognise his work in a way that maybe is bigger than what he could do on his own. The reach you could potentially have is maybe greater than what he could. Through the brand itself is very exciting.
I think he wasn't interested in marketing himself at all. He was only interested in painting for his own amusement, really. But I think, of course, with social media now and the brand itself is so strong, we're not bad at PR as well. So hopefully we can honour his artwork and honour his name, because he deserves it more than most.
And Dewi
Bowen.
Dewi Bowen, what a guy. Well, I'm excited to see more of the collection and to keep following you on your journey. It's very exciting. So you got Wales Fashion Week, or London Fashion Week, coming up shortly. That is on the 27th. You've got this event on, and that's the week is happening in London? Yeah.
So it's always on the week of St David's Day, which is really nice. So it's a nice way to honour Welsh culture on a global stage in London. So yeah, Friday the 27th of February, we're buzzing at the London Welsh Centre. So it's another Welsh link there as well.
Good, excellent. And yeah, you've got lots of big plans. And yeah, you want to open up your own store. That's exciting. Big challenge through that. Fashion. I think those that succeed in fashion have got lots of cash. To do that without cash is very difficult. But yeah, I believe you're going to do it. You've got the ambition, the attitude to put that brand on the world stage. And I hope and wish the best for you as you grow this brand. I'm excited to follow the journey, and I'm excited to try on some t-shirts that might fit me one day.
Absolutely, we'll sort you out, no problem.
Nice, great, Ioan. If those want to engage with the brand, where can they find out more about you and Cambrensis?
Absolutely, so our website is just cambrensis.co.uk. Instagram, and all of our social media handles are just at Cambrensis. So yeah, give us a follow, it's much appreciated.
Excellent. So yeah, if you want to learn more about Cambrensis, go and check him out. Ioan, it's been great to hear your story in design and fashion, and yeah, really excited to see, you're 24?
24, yeah.
24, young pup, only a couple of years younger than me. But yeah, it'd be exciting to see where you are in a couple of years' time and how the brand will succeed and put Wales on the global stage. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that day. Gareth Bale will be in one of those t-shirts.
We'll make it happen, definitely. That's the goal.
Make it happen. Wel, diolch am dod. Pleser i gael ti ma heddi. Diolch i ti, Ioan.
Diolch yn fawr.